Okay, Danielle, so can you just start by introducing yourself, maybe also talking about your career as well as kind of where you are now with Spark Medical?
So I'm Daniel Powell. I'm the CEO of Spark Biomedical, and we're a wearable medical device company. My background is 20 years in neurostimulation, spinal cord stim, deep brain stimulation. I once made fun of wearable stimulation and said there's no way that would work. So I've been gifted with leading a company and eating those words.
And I guess given that you've been in this neurostim market for so long, and also DBS, what intrigued you to Spark Biomedical?
Auricular vagus nerve stim has a ton of applications, and so we were really trying to figure out where to apply it, and you have all these positive network effects in the body. When we saw the application for opioid withdrawal, it hit a couple of key check marks that solidified our direction. And it was, there's a huge epidemic. I mean, the need is profound. But the results of the clinical are so quick. You can take somebody on the ground in the fetal position going through horrible withdrawal, and in 1 hour of stimulation, they could be sitting here having this interview like we are.
Which is fascinating.
It is.
I think,
it's
right,
amazing.
like the fact that you could switch something so quickly, and it's non-invasive,
and it's
right?
Yes.
And so you don't have to worry about trying to get someone to the OR to try to implant something.
It's a treatment paradigm, and you go through the treatment, and hopefully you're clean from opioids, and then you're in a new health state that's lower risk and positive. So I like it also because it's kind of a one and done.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask about that, because I was like, normally, right, you get implanted with a neurostim, you're kind of stuck with it, right? I mean, so we talk about like, they're maybe getting more designed to be explanted, but usually, especially if it's like something like pain, you're there for a while, and it's gonna be there for the rest of your life. But it sounds like with this product, it's not like that. It's kind of like once you're off the opioids, you don't have to worry about going back for treatment, or maybe in the future you might need to come back if you relapse. Is that
Exactly,
fair?
yes, spot on.
Which is pretty cool.
Well, and then the other component that we discovered along the way is the 40,000 babies born dependent on opioids. So we've adapted this technology in clinical trials with newborn babies, which I love because newborn babies don't have a placebo effect.
Yeah.
So it really proves the efficacy is real. And then the safety profile on these really underdeveloped, very small, delicate humans is there. And so the safety and efficacy are really proven and echoed in our neonatal trials.
And how did you guys go about doing that? Because I know, so my background a lot of times is in like the marketing and development of products, and pediatrics actually unfortunately always gets like the short end of the stick, because everyone's like, oh, to do a clinical trial in pediatrics takes too long. How did you guys kind of morph your device to make sure it fit the pediatric population or the neonatal population?
Well, we ended up having a very good partner with MUSC, which had done auricular stim on babies before. So we did have a partner that had some experience in that. And then, you know, going into remember when we had all the little earpieces and the little baby earpieces, and we're figuring what size, and going in the NICU and putting them on babies' ears. It was ridiculous that we wanted to go after neonatal, like that's so hard, but just all the stars aligned, and we're just like, we have to do this. This is, you know, it's just a mandate for us.
It's almost like a duty. And you guys also, right, are even looking at indications beyond opioid withdrawal, correct? And so how are you guys thinking about those other indications, and how are you building a platform that sustains all these indications?
Yeah, we hesitated to say platform in the early days because you got to prove you can do one thing once, right? Now that we're on market, we then have FDA approval and approve this and have multiple indications. We really are leveraging the platform. So in behavioral health, we're looking at acute stress reaction, which is a hyper fight or flight response to trauma, which is the exact same thing withdrawal is, hyper fight or flight. Your brain's and your amygdala is misfiring and telling you you're going to die. So we're working with the DoD on that. So starting to wrap around services around mental health and looking at more long-term anxiety, depression, other comorbidities of addiction. So that's on the behavioral health side, and then we have a very novel new approach for a completely different area, and that's in hemostasis. We have something called the neural tourniquet, and it's the idea that we're going to use the nervous system to tell the spleen, to tell the blood platelets to prime themselves and begin the clotting process.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it ends up two really cool things: a 50% reduction in blood loss, at least in the preclinical models. We got to translate it to human. They showed in hemophilia A mice, you could stimulate them for 30 minutes and they could clot for 48 hours.
Oh, wow.
So this could be a major adjunct treatment for bleeding disorders, which are the single most expensive diseases in the world to treat.
And as you think about that, like going global, I think a lot about like democratization and some of like the different inequalities of healthcare. How is a system like this potentially going to help overcome some of those inequalities or that democratization of health across the globe?
Compared to the cost of the blood treatments for those diseases, it's a fraction of the cost. Those blood treatments cost $300,000 a year to keep you healthy.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And you're out over $1 million a year with hospital and stuff if you have somebody who's having breakthrough bleed events. So we're just going to be a fraction of the cost. And then what's really cool is the National Hemophilia Foundation not only invested in our company, but will be looking at helping supply our product across the world to countries where things like refrigeration doesn't exist and you can't have these blood products and plasma and stuff like that. So we think we'll be partnering with these nonprofits to distribute this worldwide.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. You were talking about, I was like, yeah, because if you think about the rural areas, right, they might not be able to go to a hospital or a treatment center to get treatment, but something like this feels like it could be really deployed anywhere. And I imagine you don't need power, right? Maybe you need to charge it, but how long, it might last longer than might not even need
AAA
that.
batteries.
Yeah.
They're good. Yeah.
That's even better.
They wanted to start it, wanted coin cell batteries, and I was like, no, no, don't do that.
So as you look at kind of like the future, what is your vision of what, opioid withdrawal or mental health even, or even, hemostasis, or even kind of as the vision of Spark Biomedical? What do you hope to have achieved, 5, 10, 15 years from now?
One of the first steps is to get all the major organizations to see neurostimulation for addiction as a treatment option. If you go to SAMHSA's or NIDA's website right now, there's no mention of neurostimulation. And they'll tell you all the other opioids you can prescribe to get somebody off of opioids. So I think there's step one is to become, a standard treatment option. And then we are looking at long-term addiction recovery, and I would like to say in 5 years we've significantly saved many American lives with this. And I don't say that to be just American.
Yeah.
It's just we have a disproportional opioid epidemic compared to the rest of the world. The rest of the world, sure, there's fentanyl and heroin, but America is leading the way, unfortunately, in overdose deaths.
Yeah, and with that, right, because I think there is a sense of urgency, right? And I think even our governments are trying to figure out how to get a handle on it. When you think about the channels of, maybe we'll start with opioid addiction, but I think generally like mental health, right? They're not always people who are like walking up saying, I want this, or,
Well, there's stigmatism.
Yeah, right, there's all of that. So how are you guys thinking about those channels, especially around like mental health, in order to kind of reach the patients and make sure they have access to your device? Yeah,
one of the ways we're doing it, just, getting the word out as much as possible through social media and all the different channels. But we've actually pivoted and put in a telehealth offering, because for people who don't want to go into a hospital, for people who that doesn't fit their life, they have a dog, they can't leave at home, they have children, they have a job, they can't afford to take the job. So to be able to deliver this therapy to somebody's home and then jump on a Zoom call and any tech support, one of the compliments we get all the time is, oh my goodness, you actually answer your phones. We got a great team. We believe in hypercare. We get on the phone, if somebody calls, it rolls through everybody in the company, so till somebody answers. And it's deploying it so that people can have access to it without the constraints